it's safe to say I think this past few weeks has not been particularly kind to us. We've lost three great people in our culture. I know there's more, but the three I'm talking about are a couple of my childhood heroes growing up. One of them being Kevin Conroy, aka Batman, Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and Gallagher. Now I know those three names, those three people. The first two is understandable. The third one is kind of weird, but I'll explain the third one when I'm done with the first two. So my thoughts on this whole situation is it's tragic. It just makes me sad beyond recognition to know that my heroes are gone. My heroes are dead and gone, and to see them pass, it's like it sucks too because it's like, and to be honest with you, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking because these were my childhood heroes. Like Kevin Conroy provided the voice of Batman, and one of in my opinion, I don't think it's just my opinion. I think it's the absolute fact to voice one of the greatest characters ever and do it perfectly too. Batman. He did in being that great show, Batman the Animated Series, and also to be in, the Superman the Animated Series, and Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which I've been watching and stuff like that, and just growing up and watching that and hearing his voice be Batman and hear the change too. It went from being kind of like this to more like this, and it's so like. It just sucks. It just absolutely sucks. I heard his health wasn't doing good. I heard he was having a fight with cancer. Again, I'm not getting too deep into it. The same way with Jason David Frank, another great, role model growing up, the Power Rangers. I know that everybody has a different take on the Power Rangers. People thought the Power Rangers were cheesy, ridiculous. Even I did. There's a point where you stop watching because it just... I like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when they were fighting in Zords that were dinosaurs, and then they went into ninjas, and that was cool. And then they went into, cars, which I'm like, just go stick with animal like Zords. Come on now. But what was always constant was Tommy Oliver, like the sixth Ranger, the badass of the group, because he just showed up when you needed him, and he also took on the entire team by himself when he got controlled by Rita. And not to take away Kevin Conroy's lightning here, but Jason David Frank also was a legit martial artist. I never knew that. I thought these guys were just acting, and they put in the work. They knew how to throw a kick, knew how to throw a punch. Like Jason David Frank was an expert martial artist. He knew how to throw a punch and a kick too, and it was just amazing seeing him do his thing, to do what he's been trained to do. He is a legit Power Ranger, a legit martial artist, and he's also been helping people out too. I followed his Instagram, and some of that stuff is inspiring. A little bit, on the Christianity side, but I don't care. I actually approve of Christians a little bit. A lot of people kind of shit on, poop on them, and say all these Christians and blah blah blah. This is what's these, my. No, I don't give a damn. I don't care. I don't. If you find Jesus and you are okay with that, fine. Just let them be. All right. If they bother you, just they not all of them want to hold the sign that says God hates gays. Let's be honest. God doesn't hate gays. He hates tapioca pudding. But no, it's sad to see those two go. And it's sad to see that two of my favorite shows growing up, too, as a kid, Power Rangers and Batman. Batman was the more serious show, which is funny because it is an animated show about a man who dresses up as a bat, but it was the way it presented itself to a young audience, that this was a show that was being mature, but geared towards younger audiences, which honestly... It's still brilliant to this day, I think. I still think it's one of those shows that should be watched and should be, hailed as a classic. Absolutely, it's earned its right to be a classic. If you want to make a good animated show, look at that show. Look at Batman the Animated, especially a kid show. If you're trying to do something for kids and trying to make it fun and exciting, but also like endearing, that's a show right there. And it goes in that same category as Thundercats. If you've ever watched the documentary for Thundercats, Thundercats was not just a show that was, action and all that. There were things that people were learning lessons on. And the same thing with Batman the Animated Series. And it also was, like, kind of funny to see, like, when that show came out, Batman Returns came out, and people thought Batman Returns was too dark. I honestly was like, no, it's pitch perfect darkness. It's surreal enough to be, okay, over the top. This is not real. This is fantasy. But it was dark enough to be, not scary. To be like, this is Batman's world. He lives in the shadows. He lives in Gotham City, which is, like, still stuck in, like, a certain time period. Because people are still using Tommy guns. But it's still a good... which is fun. Again, like I said before, Batman's not going to always have triumphant days. There's going to be days where, yes, he defeated the bad guy, but at what cost? Like, what was really earned? Like, I stopped somebody from blowing up Gotham City, but there's still a broken person that needs my help. There's still a person that I couldn't save. It's something that, and that voice too, like, Batman's voice is very intimidating, but also very compassionate as well. Like, I still remember the episode of Lockdown, which has, like, an ex-security guard from Arkham, like, get fired, and he gets fired, and he starts kidnapping all the, Gotham elites and stuff like that, and putting them in a prison offshore. I think it was like a prison boat. And Batman's like, oh, all these criminals need to be locked up. They need to be put in cages like animals. And Batman's like, without compassion, like, and I'll get into it in just a moment too with, like, Jason David Frank as well. With him, Jason David Frank, with the Power Rangers. Again, Power Rangers 2 was like a ridiculous show, and you look at it and it's like, yeah, it's campy, it's ridiculous, but it wears it on its sleeve, and a lot of people don't realize that. Yes, it is ridiculous. The acting is over the top, but it's from Japan, and they don't do anything subtle. They like their over the top shit because some of that their social life, the life in Japan is kind of like mediocre, so they need some kind of escape, and Power Rangers is perfect for that. It's a bunch of, rowdy teenagers. It's been a while since I've seen this, but it's a bunch of rowdy teenagers, teenagers with attitude, I believe it was, and each one of them had their own, like, unique talents they brought to the table, fighting styles, way of life, attributes, and they were a team. They worked together. These were the heroes that you could respect and love because they were the ones that were always telling you to eat your vegetables, drink your milk, stay in school. That kind of thing, that kind of hero you need. Like, we don't have that hero anymore. We don't have the hero who's just like, who will set you on the right moral path. And it's like, again, Batman, Power Rangers, those two. Like, and also just love seeing, like, them fight and save the day and using giant Zords. And yeah, the city almost got destroyed. And it's like, well, I think, like, Angel City, it's like Angel Grove, yeah, has the best construction site out there because that city gets rebuilt every time. So it's like, and you know what else I gotta say though? Again, something like, sorry, I've got golfer's elbow and I'm just trying to stim it. So it's, again, one of those things that, like, you grow up and it's like, it inspires you. And then those two men have been inspiring as well, Kevin Conroy and Jason David Frank. Like, Kevin Conroy, like, I was watching Michael Rosenbaum, I think it's Rosenbaum or Rosen, I'm trying to find his name. So give me a second. Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum, who also voiced, who was Lex Luthor on Smallville, and also was the voice of the Flash on Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, do an interview with Kevin Conroy, and Kevin Conroy had a rough upbringing, just a rough upbringing, and his dad was a raging alcohol, fall down drunk, and an angry drunk, and growing up in that situation, and learning to deal with it, finding acting at a young age. He was almost roommates at Juilliard. Got a scholarship at Juilliard when he discovered, theater at a public school. Like, he discovered, stage acting and found a relief into that. My hand is weird. He found an escape. He found a way out of the madness and found an outlet. Like, he understood Shakespeare, which I've seen some of his, acting reels. Like, one of them was a Vietnam show. I forget what the show was called, so forgive me. I did not research this, but I did see his play presentation of A Midsummer's Dream, and he is good in that. You look at that and this is Batman. This is the voice of Batman. And he could have been the live-action Batman, and he was at one point. He was almost the live-action Batman. And I honestly wish, someone at DC or Warner Brothers would have been like, why don't we just get the actor who plays the voice of Batman to be Batman in a movie? We really, TV show, you could have done it for Smallville or something like that. And again, that's just wishful thinking and greedy wishful thinking. Selfish, I think it is. But he again, because I'm going to get into Gallagher in just a moment, because I know I just mentioned him, but same thing with Jason David Frank, martial artist. I don't know much about Jason David Frank because I kind of fell out with Power Rangers, because one, the show just went AWOL, and I just kind of just fell out. I did watch a bit of the history of Power Rangers from Linkara. Good show, good little review. I'm not gonna lie, I liked his thing on the history of Power Rangers, and I'm gonna be honest with you, he's right though. When they started to get into cars and stuff, Turbo came out, it just was ridiculous. I love the movie though, don't get me wrong. When they got into ninjas, I was cool, but I kind of grew out of it. But honestly, a lot of people stuck with it, and I like that, But I never knew they were legit badass. These people had a background in martial arts and were legit martial artists, a few of those guys. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of inspiring seeing Jason David Frank when you get older. When I first got on social media, I never knew what his name was, and he has a cool name. He has just 3 first names. And he's a legit, I'm the White Ranger is a legit badass, tattooed and looking like he could just kick my ass. I wouldn't be upset if I got my ass kicked by the White Ranger or the Green Ranger, whoever would refer to him as. I'll call him the Green Ranger. He I don't know why he's the White Ranger. I guess I don't know. It's Japan. What do you expect? They have a color coordination thing going on there. I still remember that. It's still the show, that show too. It's just watching the Power Rangers save the day. Every time I came home from school and watched that. And another guy too. I know people, I know I'm jumping off of this too again, because I didn't really have much to say about Jason David Frank, but thank you. But also he was doing other works too with Bat and Sun Productions and stuff like that, and all this, and training sessions with him to help people. He's helping people too, and my God, he is a cool. I wish I could have met him at a fucking con. I'm so upset I didn't. Both those guys, including Gallagher too. I always and this is the thing too. People need to realize, it's I was listening to watching a bit of when I was younger, I always thought, oh, Gallagher's just a guy who just smashed shit. He's a prop comedian. You forget how good comedy is. You forget how hard comedy is when people always assume it's oh, comedy needs to just be this whole thing about, just telling jokes and seriousness and just being witty and funny. Sometimes a good visual effect is absolutely funny as well. Like seeing a giant couch and jumping on it because you were inspired by your young child, your young daughter jumping on the couch, so you did the same thing. Or, I'm trying to think what another gag he did. My favorite gag, I think people need to look up this more than the smashing of the watermelons, which I'll talk about in just a moment, was the English language, how bizarre it is. So for example, how do you spell bomb? B-O-M-B. Not B-O-M-B. B-O-M, because that's boom. But how do you spell Tom? Not T-O-M-B, that's tomb. That kind of look that up. That is some funny ass shit, right there. Excuse my language again. And again, a lot of people overlook the whole him making the mess and smashing thing, watermelons and stuff like that. The Sledge-O-Matic was a parody, was a simple parody. If you watch that whole bit, he talks about his company, the Fly By Night Company, and all this stuff. He was making fun of infomercials and these weird products, and he came out with one that was just basically a giant mallet that you just smashed watermelons with. Like, it doesn't slice it. If you want coleslaw works on lettuce, apples. And he pulls out a light bulb and flattens light bulbs, and he smashes it, and it's like made out of clay. Fits perfectly, because you think, oh shit, he's gonna smash glass. I'm swearing so much. But no, again, like watching him as a kid, and just, he was very, very energetic, very entertaining nonetheless. And you don't see that with like comedians now. Everybody wants to be the next Louis K. or Louis C.K., George Carlin, or, they want to be nobody does props anymore. And like, Gilbert Gottfried did props when he brought out like serving trays and did a bit where he was Mickey Mouse on acid. So it's kind of funny like that. And, and again, with funny, it's like, it's inspiring to see stuff like that, the same, like, and if you're funny, you're funny. I was like listening to an interview with Carrot Top, and he was talking about meeting George Carlin, and George Carlin thought his stuff was funny. Like that, like George Carlin has a different style of comedy altogether. He doesn't smash watermelons. He, basically is just observant comedy and then kind of regurgitates to you. Which everybody wants to be that philosopher comedian, and nobody really wants to be Gallagher. I think we need more people like Gallagher. We need more people that just say, you know what, you don't like to be funny. And Gallagher was funny and very observant too, with using what he had. He was a prop comedian, but some of the props and some of the gags he did, had effects on, our daily lives. And he talked about, the world we live in and stuff like that. Men's fashion, men trying to be original and stuff like that. And, honestly, it's something that, a lot of comedians miss. Try to be funny. You got to make the audience laugh. Hell, I tried comedy. Comedy's not pretty, I'll tell you that much. I think it was Steve Martin, but I'm probably plagiarizing him. But no, I mean, all three of those guys. So, to finish up what I was going to say, though, those three men, and again, watching Michael Rosenbaum's interview with Kevin Conroy, the guy who does the voice of Batman, the guy who does the voice of The Flash, the guy who played Tommy Oliver, the guy who smashed watermelons, all did something significant. Now, you may think, oh, they have a world pack. No. Like, there's people out there that are going through some rough times out there. And this is what they were talking about on the thing. Like, you may be doing, like, Smallville, this show about, Superman and Clark Kent and all this stuff. Or you could be doing a show where you're playing as Batman. Or a silly show where you're fighting giant robots in skin-tight outfits. All right, or you're smashing. You kind of do something significant. You what you're doing does have an impact, and people do watch it. And it did kind of lift my spirits up a little bit. Like what I'm doing right now with this right now. I never thought, like I did Let's Plays and I kind of gave out with them, like, but I might just get back into them because I'm kind of like, I have the equipment. I might just get back into it. I've gotten into playing Dark Souls again, and oh boy, I might just replay, just do a Let's Play of Elden Ring just to see what that's all about. But no, it's like the smallest thing you could do may have the biggest impact on somebody's life. Like I had a cousin who was like watching my stuff, watching my Let's Plays of Resident Evil, and he absolutely loved it. And I kind of feel shitty just kind of dropping him because I just felt like I was not doing any kind of work. Well, the truth was I got lazy because I just didn't want. I just wanted the success without really the work. And that's what really the truth is. So, enough about me, but let's honor these three gentlemen here. Let's honor the Batman. Let's honor the Green Ranger. Let's honor Gallagher. Let's honor them. Let's honor them and respect their legacy for what they did. One giving us hope, one giving us, belief in ourselves, one giving belief in ourselves, giving to be ourselves, to be, strong, to be, never give up, never surrender, to always find hope. Let me put it that way. To always see the best in us. And also, to be original. Let's be honest about that. If I'm going to take one thing from Gallagher, to be original. So, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye. And remember to stay beautiful. Love you all. Peace.